Well, I'm sure you're paying attention to the cartel wars that are going on right now.
Yeah, it would be so much better if Americans did not like cocaine. That would just solve half of this overnight.
Or if cocaine was legal.
The health studies that I have seen suggest that that is not the way forward.
But do you really think that it would change the consumption?
Oh, it would definitely alter the consumption. How, I don't know. This is not something I'm an expert at. But most of the people that I've seen who have done the assessments suggest that any gain in terms of law enforcement and criminal activity would be lost in terms of work days and sickness. So from a purely economic point of view, at best, it looks like it might be a wash.
So the legalization of cocaine, in your opinion, would cause more use and more problems?
Probably.
But wouldn't
Just
it
different ones.
stop all these fentanyl overdose? Because this is an issue with the illegalization.
See, that's the problem. When you ask people why they're taking what drug, to say that if cocaine was immediately available that they'd stop taking fentanyl, I don't know.
But they're not taking fentanyl on purpose.
Oh, you're talking about the stuff that's cut in.
A lot of the fentanyl deaths is cut. Like cocaine fentanyl deaths are very high.
Well, then you're talking about a regulatory issue. And just keep in mind that whenever you move something in from an illegal to a regulatory point of view, there is how should we call this, an adjustment process. So I live in Colorado now, which was the first state to legalize pot. And what we discovered was that, yes, you solve some problems and you bring a lot of money in for the government, but it has criminalized a lot of economic activity in Colorado. Because think about what happened with pot. It's still controlled from a financial point of view at the federal level. Mm-hmm. So banks won't touch it. So all the pot dispensaries have a walk-in safe where they keep all the cash.
Yeah.
So the Federal Reserve is like, this is a theft issue. This is a security issue. We can't allow this to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to hire out a bunch of armored cars and trucks, and we're going to send these to these pot dispensaries after hours. And with armored guards, we're going to come in and we're going to take all your cash. We're going to spray a lot of Febreze on it. We're going to take it back to the Federal Reserve building. We're going to count it and give you a digital deposit. The Sinaloa cartel is like, whoa. Let me get this right. The Federal Reserve of the United States of America is now in the business of money laundering. Count us in. And so now they are laundering their money through the pot industry of Colorado. And it's generated just a different problem.
This is a gentleman named John Norris, and he started out his career as a game warden, a guy who checks fishing licenses and stuff. And along the way, he discovered that because of the legalization of marijuana in California, they decriminalized it to the point where growing it is a misdemeanor. And so people are growing it on federal land, on state land. Mm-hmm. And so these state forests and federal forests in California are filled with cartels that are growing marijuana. So he had to form a tactical unit to combat these cartels. So they're wearing tactical gear, and this guy was a game warden, and now they've got Belgian Malinois and fucking machine guns, and they're going in there and they're fighting off cartels. And he wrote this book called Hidden Wars. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, there's rarely a silver bullet, unfortunately.
But this is the problem that you have when you have it illegal. I mean, this is literally what propped up organized crime during the Prohibition. This is what funded the mafia. They ran booze illegally because it was illegal. Well, so criminals are going to be in charge of things that there's a demand for when there's an enormous economic incentive.
I think the mafia is a great example for why you shouldn't look for the silver bullet. Because, yes, that in the 1920s during Prohibition was one of the big reasons it got going. But the mafia didn't waste any time in diversifying, and neither of the cartels. So one of the many problems in Mexico today is that the cartels have diversified. They've gotten into cargo theft and kidnapping and avocados and limes and real estate and local government. And criminality is always going to exist. Now, the attractiveness of gutting them of some of their primary income, should we look at that? Of course. But it's not so simple as removing one and it just all stops.
Because of the limes and avocados and all these other things.
Because, these are things that are obviously legal.
Right.
But the cartels have found a way to take it over and make it their own.
But isn't that the problem was initially because of illegal drugs. So that's where they got their enormous resources.
Well, I would
say that allowed them to expand into other semi-legal or legal.
I'd say the problem was lack of rule of law, and that goes to Chicago as well. And the way we ultimately got past that is after Prohibition ended, it still took 20 to 30 years to kind of ground down the mob, and we welcomed them into politics to normalize it. So careful what you wish for.